You got a new baby, right?
I do, man. Yeah, he's a little over a year and a half. He's started asking why. And I thought that was like a 5-year-old thing, but now I'm just like, hey, let's do this. He's like, why?
Oh, this is like an actual child.
Yeah.
Not an SEC short. Okay. I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I do not refer to my internet videos as my babies.
I remember our sketch we did together. That production y'all have is so crazy. It's kind of like the South Park story, right? Like you have 6 days to make it work, right?
Yeah, well, except we have 15 hours. So
15 hours.
They have 6 days. We have 15 hours. They have probably 200 people there to help them too, or whatever. But because they have the animation to do. But there, as far as them writing and stuff, it usually comes down to the last minute where they're making changes. So it's very similar to that and what we do. But for us, it's just us two, and we have roughly 15 hours.
So take me through that. What is that like? Like the games end on Saturday, and then
we meet Sunday morning. We pick an idea, and then we split up. And Robert will be like trying to put a script together. I'm out trying to find like props, and I'm calling actors and trying to find a location. I'll go to get the gear. Robert's making props. He's cricketing T-shirts.
There's no way Robert's the baby, right?
Right. No. That's you have to be at least 2 years old.
I'm slowly getting in this. Okay.
Yeah. We're not breaking any child labor laws. No, that's.
I would though, because that would be much more cost effective than.
I'm sure there's a CEO at the SEC network that would get down with that. You know.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, well, you gotta. I mean, at some point, there's got to be a role for a 1.5-year-old, right?
Where's that? So my son looks exactly like me. So there's got to be a Benjamin Button sketch somewhere.
Yeah.
I just don't know if people would get the reference, but it's never stopped us before. So
I think I can proudly say I was probably in your worst sketch because of the terrible acting that I had as the lead.
No. Because no, you did a good job, and that was that video resurfaces every once in a while whenever Kentucky has a good season. And Kentucky fans are like, we're a football school. And then we'll just kind of slide the video out there, even though we made it like 6 years ago. And they're like, yes, this is it.
Your bad acting's the Trojan horse.
Have I ever told you the story behind that video? Like because we did that one for ESPN.
Yeah.
It wasn't for our social page. So we sent it to them. And then the host of the show, which I think was Laura Rutledge at the time, she was kind of worried about it because she knew about. I didn't know this, but Kentucky basketball and football didn't get along at the time.
Oh yeah.
And so she sent the video to Stoops, and Stoops was like, "Under no circumstances should you air this on television. This would be really bad for me because they'll think that I put you up to it or something." And so they weren't going to air it, but the head of the SEC network at the time was like, "Oh no, we're airing it. It's just a joke. You'll be fine," which is very rare.
Yeah.
Because I mean, usually the network will just err on the side of let's not make the team mad. But in this case, he was really great. And he was like, they'll just have to get over it. And they aired it, and it was fine. Nobody cares.
How does a rivalry between two teams in the same athletic department happen? What is that about?
That I don't know, because I didn't even know it existed to begin with.
Yeah,
so maybe it's
so
over. Maybe it's over resources. I think at Kentucky they were starting to build more facilities and things for the football team. Maybe Coach Cal didn't like that, but I can't really speak to it for sure. But
okay.
That's what I would assume. It'd be over resources.
Well,
but
that's the crazy thing too, is Stoops getting angry about it, and it was painting the football team in a positive light.
Oh yeah,
too.
that's what he was worried about. Yeah,
it's so crazy.
Yeah.
Man. I remember that day.
Have you seen it? Have you seen this guy?
No, I haven't. But any opportunity to mock Kyle, just show it to me.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah, I can't do it. I can't. I watched it. So it was funny. The day we shot it that week, and then it came out on the Saturday, like you said. And I didn't tell anybody about it. I just we were all at my family's house getting ready for whatever game it was, and I was like, "Hey, turn on." Was it Game Day? It was on, or was it the
that
SEC
one was
one?
on? Yeah, that one was on SEC Nation.
Yes. So we were watching, dude, and it just pops up, and everybody's like, and what's funny is I remember you asking me or not asking, directing me and say, "Hey, we're gonna give you no lines because it's just a little easier to act." But dude, I'm like the most I don't do good facial expressions. It was so bad, man. And another thing too is when you're, you're a seasoned pro at this now, but you don't catch yourself looking at the camera and somebody's telling you like, hey, you just look directly into the camera.
So that whenever it's someone's first time, usually we tell them beforehand, don't look at the camera. And so they're like, okay.
Just right
Or they'll deliver their line and looks right in the, or they'll be like, and that's why we're Vanderbilt.
They just automatically
and then
failed
look right
the
into
DUI test.
Yeah. Or they'll look right at whoever's standing behind the camera like, is that good? It's like, well, we can't use that now. Because
can't do that now.
We can't really talk on camera. It's
crazy.
different. I mean, nobody, we're just grabbing random people and being like, hey, act in this video and be really good, please. It's not your job. You just want to do it for fun. So it's understandable.
I remember walking down University Boulevard in downtown Birmingham wearing a full Kentucky uniform. I was asking people, hey, do you know where Bartow Arena is? I'm always with the game. And people are like, oh, I think it's that way.
Do you play for the team?
There were a lot of people commenting underneath. It's like, we know that's UAB's campus. I could tell. It's like, oh, did you think we were driving to Lexington for?
Yeah, you have to like. If you can't suspend disbelief for an SEC short, my God, don't.
We're asking you for 2 minutes to just pretend this is a normal quad. They're breaking the news in the comment section like we're trying to pull one over on people.
Never doubt the ambition of internet detectives. That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
We can see the steel yard in the background. Okay.
I don't care.
Those are the same ones that's like, that's not Wolverine's comic accurate uniform. Like the same type guys. Now you're getting ready to ramp back up, right? Like busy season's coming, right?
Yeah, so we made one preseason video. It was like Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC. And it was like the premise was them being introduced like in a school setting. So it's like a lunchroom and the principal just walks them in and then introduces them all to the other SEC teams, and then they all yell at each other for 5 minutes. And then I think September 1st is when we get started for the season. Then we pump them out every week, and then this year we're going to do like 2 or 3 midweek videos where we'll like just meet up on Wednesday and come up with something.
Oh, cool.
We're doing a live show in Tuscaloosa on September 27th. It's the night before the Georgia game.
Okay.
So that's got, sketches, a song, there's stand-up, there's audience games, there's all kinds of stuff. It's like a big variety
That's
show.
what I was going to ask you, too, is like, have you dabbled in stand-up yet? Because...
So I do, I'll do some stand-up in the show, but it's, it's always like football-related, like 5-10 minutes, where it's either like a story or... just like observational stuff on, game day traditions for different schools. Just it's like football related.
Yeah, poor Texas A&M watching Oklahoma and Texas roll in, getting bullied. Just getting bullied. Old Big 12 bullies. Back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is funny. It's like you have your junior high bully. And then you go to high school. Maybe you go to different high schools. Then you go back to college, and he's back. That's kind of well, like
and he's stronger. You're like, oh no.
Where's the show at in Tuscaloosa?
It's going to be at the Bama Theater.
Bama Theater, cool. Yeah, y'all have had pretty good reception to those shows.
Yes, yeah. So it's a shocking amount of people who buy tickets and go. And then afterwards, we hear from them, oh, we didn't know what to expect. So it's like, they thought we would just like sit up on stage, like, like a podcast or something where people just do what they do, but on stage, or talk about what they do on stage. And we put on a full variety show, and it's just been shocking how many people show up. They're like, we didn't know what you were going to do.
Yeah.
So, we got to think about our whole live format now, because that was exactly the laziest way possible. Let's just take the studio.
No, man, that's the most cost efficient way. Trust me. What we do is like, the margins are very slim.
Is the production behind that much different from what you do?
Yes, because it takes us months to get a show. Because we have to like write a song and write 6 sketches and rehearse them and block them for a month and a half. So we have to get rehearsal space, and we have to write everything way ahead of time, and we have to build props and set pieces and all kinds of stuff.
I would imagine this one isn't just 2 guys, right?
This is a full cast, and it's there's stagehands, a stage manager, a sound guy, all that stuff. So
that's good, dude. We're doing a show Friday in Tuscaloosa at Brown's Corner. It's right above Half Shell. I don't know if you're familiar, it's like the downtown area. And just producing that with 3 comedians, a host, and a musical guest has been the biggest headache. And we're like fighting for scraps to sell 40 tickets.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Man,
yeah.
But that's cool, man. Is it like the more you're branching out? What have you ever thought about kind of like I guess is the motivation to keep this thing running until it can't, or do you have kind of aspirations to move outside of college football?
Not really. This is our 10th year. We've just, as long as we enjoy doing it, we kind of get to do whatever we want. So, having a nice long off season is nice too. So I think the idea is to just do this for as long as we can, and then
it sounds like the dream.
Yeah. A lot of people, since probably about our 5th year, people want us to expand it and do Big 10 shorts or big Pac-12 shorts or whatever, and which sounds, anytime you have something that has any sort of success, just to multiply it and grow it and see if you can make more money.
Yeah.
But we've thought about it, and there's just no way you could do that and still put out a quality product on both sides. It's trust. We would have to buy equipment, hire people, and just trust people to be able to do something the same way we do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you teach someone that.
I don't know how you do it for the Pac-10 now,
Because they don't exist.
Yeah. Did George Clooney buy that conference or something? What happened with those guys?
Yeah.
So y'all talked about, I feel like a few years ago, y'all might dabble in SEC basketball a little bit.
Yeah, so we would love to. I'm a big basketball fan. I like basketball as much or more than football, and by the time basketball season hits, we're so exhausted from making 25 to 30 short films essentially in a row every week that we've got no gas left in the tank to dig into basketball, see what people really care about, and try to make something.
So 10 years ago, this thing starts. What was kind of the genesis of it?
To be on TV. Yeah.
Fame, money, power.
Yeah. So was it both of y'all that kind of studied film in college? Was that more?
That's Robert. Yeah, Robert went to film school in New Orleans, and so he was really good. When you're starting out, you need to be able to do everything on your own, as you know.
Yeah.
So, he's a really good writer, and technical wise, editing and filming and stuff. He's really accomplished.
Yeah.
And so I've had to kind of learn along the way, and I don't contribute anything to any of those things. I'll film his parts, but if he has to move more than 3 steps, I'm like, Robert, we need to hire someone to do this because I can move it, but then you're out of focus. I don't know. So
were you always, growing up, had an interest in stuff like that though?
Being famous? Yeah.
Being famous? Yeah. Was it always the
Since
dream?
I can remember, I've always wanted people to like me.
Yeah.
No, I think when we started doing this, I was, 30, I guess 34, 35. By that, we were working an office job, and we were just doing it for fun, and people happened to get into it. So now it's our main job. But I don't think at any point I ever thought that it would work, or we would be famous, or it would.
It always seems to go like that. It's the thing that you didn't expect to work actually blows up, and it's it was this the entire time.
Yeah. Because when we started, we thought, okay, we'll do this for a few years, and then maybe we'll, get a production company together, and we'll make commercials or a movie or something like that. But it's just kind of took off.
Yeah, my wife wanted me to ask you too. We have a leaky foundation. Do you know anybody?
I get approached for the Ox Foundation commercials as much as I do SEC shorts now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Those things they must air all day.
Oh, well, we were watching Peacock, and we were watching Modern Family. It was just we already knew we had use scheduled coming on. I was like, oh, there he is.
Your business interrupted this punchline on Arrested Development.
No, my wife, she's like, you just need to make the whole conversation about foundations. Just to ask them.
Everybody's what I love. This happened at Costco recently, where 2 people recognized me at the same time for 2 different things, and one was for the Ox Foundation commercial, one was for SEC shorts, and either of them had seen the other thing. So in front of me, they both were explaining what SEC. The guy was like, "Oh, you haven't seen SEC shorts? It's these football videos." And then she's trying to tell him what the Ox Foundation commercials are, and I'm just standing there
you're just watching the Montagues and the Capulets play out in the grocery store.
It was a 10-minute conversation where I was just standing there and going, yeah. And then I just kind of pushed my cart away, and that was it.
You're going to be the George Costanza of the Ox Foundations. Like Jason Alexander can never have another role. You're always going to be typecast as the foundation commercial.
You're
That's
never
fine.
going to be able to buy wheat thins again.
I know. If it ends up that I'm their flow, then I'll be happy. I do like 5 to 10 commercials a year, and no one ever asks me or comes up to me about any of them. Every day, someone's like, "Hey, is your foundation fixed?"
That's awesome. It's got to be flattering too, right?
No, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, anytime you put work into something and people recognize it and tell you they like it, it's nice. You know, it's like doing a good job at work and your boss telling you did a good job.
It's better than being recognized for like, you know, plowing your car into a crowd full of people or something. You know,
That's a permanent sort of a reputation.
yeah, that's one that doesn't wash off. So yeah, I was actually because I always say I was at your house one time and you were watching SNL. So I don't know. I've always associated with you like, oh yeah, he likes SNL. And so when I saw Kenan Thompson a few weeks ago, I was the guy in the grocery store explaining what SEC Shorts was, and he was just like glazed over look. Like, oh, you got to check this guy out. He's great, man. He did great on SNL. So I don't know if Kenan calls you.
Okay.
I get a finder's fee.
He's from Atlanta or something, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think so. He does a lot in Atlanta. So they're doing a stand-up production now called Kenan Presents, where they produce a bunch of shows, and they just got a residency in Las Vegas at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club to produce their shows there. So he's heavily involved in Atlanta, but I don't know kind of if that's where he's from or, you know, if he lives there when they're not shooting.
I think he
You're
is.
going to get a phone call from Kenan Thompson. He's like, don't you own like a roofing company?
Most of my comedy is foundation based.
I got to get your opinion. We have been fighting, me and RJ, like cats and dogs over names. And like SEC Shorts is so it's perfect. Like it's a double entendre. It works, dude. We have like for 3 weeks been trying to come up with names. Do y'all have trouble with that with like certain projects just naming?
So for
it?
SEC Shorts, I remember we were throwing around ideas, and you know we were already getting stuff on TV, so we needed something to name it for our YouTube channel. And I was like, well, what about SEC Shorts? And Robert was just like, we'll just use that until we come up with something better. and then that's just what we ended up going with.
I think the issue is that we're always anticipating this eureka moment, and that doesn't always necessarily happen in reality. You know?
I was talking to a comedian named Nick Guerra this past weekend, and he was saying it's because creative types, they procrastinate. But it's
Stop looking at me when you say that.
Well, I said creative. But the creative types, they procrastinate at the last minute because they know if they have a deadline, that it's going to be the last minute because they're holding out for the best idea. So they might have one that's fine and perfect, but they just know their brains. They think that, you know, I can do better and do better. That's why you have to put like hard deadlines.
Kind of what helps with SEC Shorts is that like we have to have a video up Monday morning at 8.
Yeah.
So whenever we've picked an idea and halfway through filming, we're like, this is terrible. This is not good. You have to plow ahead and try to make it as best as you can because something's got to go up the next day. So
well, it's really cool the community you've built too, because I'll see your Facebook post like, hey, you know, I need a conference room. Can anybody help me out? And then it's just filled with comments.
Yeah.
How do you weed through all that and kind of like pick where you're going to shoot or, you know, find something?
You know, we'll have kind of something specific in mind, and as close as we can get to that, like that's what we go with. But also like, you know, we'll be like, does anyone in Birmingham have I think at one point I needed one of those, like if you break your leg and you're in one of those scooters you push around.
Oh yeah.
I was like, we need this specifically. And someone's like, I got one. I'm right here in Oxford, Mississippi. I'll meet you halfway. Like, no, Birmingham's got to be Birmingham.
That's hilarious.
They drive the scooter up to you, hand it off, and then walk away at the halfway point. I'm hitching back.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever need an asbestos-filled building, we got you.
Great.
You know, with terrible lighting.
You didn't tell me that.
It looked like somewhere where you would torture someone, starting with the color of the walls you chose.
Yeah. Well, this was definitely decorated when we came in, as you can tell by like the chipped paint on the door. And we run a really tight ship here. I don't know if that comes across.
There's a sign out front that says Murder Town.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been a great name. So the name we decided on literally right before you sat down is we're going to be the Hangin Brain podcast.
Hangin Brain?
Yeah.
Nice. I think that rules, personally.
Yeah. Megan came up with it.
Oh.
Because we were talking, like, so we bounced around a few, and one that we were talking about was the cerebral comedy podcast. Just, stuff about the mind, and maybe we're a little more.
I'll let you guess who came up with that one.
Yeah. He's like, I love it.
No,
and then Megan was like, well, cerebral podcast, your motto could be Hangin Brain. And I was like, well, nope, scratch it.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
There's something about a third-party perspective that shows you something about yourself that you can never see when you're staring at the mirror, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's a good question, too, a good segue. Like, do y'all ever have to... Do you have anybody like trusted in your circle that y'all will bounce ideas off of just to like get through writer's block or anything like that?
Yeah. Eric, who's in a lot of our videos, he has had a lot of experience doing stand-up and stuff. And so the three of us, whenever we're working on something like a live show, we'll get together and work scripts out and workshop jokes and, sketch ideas and premises, stuff like that. But we don't really have time to like bounce ideas off of people. We just have to pick an idea and full steam ahead, because it's hard to plan ahead. If you say, all right, if this team beats that team, then we're going to do this video. It never works out.
Yeah, you got a serious deadline every week.
And so we just have to meet, pick an idea, and full steam ahead.
For your personal, like just outside of work, do you prefer sketch comedy over stand-up, or do you prefer stand-up? Or
oh man, I love both. I'm a huge stand-up fan, but I don't think I like one over the other. It always goes back and forth, just because I know how much work goes into a good sketch, and I appreciate that. And the same with stand-up, though.
Yeah.
You can tell when someone's been working on something for a full year, and they've got it right where it needs to be, and it fits right within their set the perfect way, and that's pretty special, I think.
Well, we'll give you the question Trent Richardson gave us. Who's your top 3 stand-ups?
Top 3 stand-ups. For me, let's see. I really like Maria Bamford.
Yeah.
Because she's very weird and also very smart. She just has a very unique perspective. I think for a stand-up, for me, that's what I think is the most interesting, like a unique perspective, and then the execution of their jokes and the writing and stuff. I think Maria Bamford's good. I like Bill Burr, John Mulaney.
Yeah.
Those would probably be my 3 favorite right now.
That's fair.
And it's always difficult, like you were saying, Josh, it's always difficult to compare stand-up to sketch comedy, because I feel like the best sketch comedy comes from when everyone compromises, and you're like, oh, that joke came from that side of the room, and this joke came from the other side of the room. Whereas stand-up comedy, it's always a self-edit, a self-perform, a self-proofread, and it never really ends. Even if you do well, you're like, oh, I left that thing on the table over there, when you look at a video of yourself later on.
Yeah. There are two. With stand-up, I think when it's at its best, it's very personal, but they find a personal way to approach a broad topic, and I think with sketch is, the opposite of that. You're just trying to recreate like a funny story in a small box, I guess.
I think my favorite TV show almost comes off like sketch comedy, and that's Gilmore Girls, because if you like don't pay attention to a certain bit of dialogue, you miss like 3 jokes just right off the top,
Yeah, that one's very dialogue heavy, right? It's a lot of like quick dialogue.
Yeah, it's kind of timeless, and it kind of reminds you of 30 Rock or Kimmy Schmidt or any of those shows.
I love 30 Rock. I rewatch 30 Rock every couple years, at least, all the way through. That, Parks and Rec, Community, those are 3 that I rewatch all the time.
Would you say you draw inspiration from them when it comes to your own stuff, or does that come from more from within?
Because sketch is different from sitcom stuff too, so it's tough. I think the stuff that inspires us most are like scenes from movies or characters from movies from like our childhood or growing up, or things that we think were interesting.
Yeah. For me, whenever I'm about to do stand-up, I always just watch a season 1 compilation of True Detective. I'm like, I am Rust Cole.
Yeah, no, there was one that you were mentioning in the sitcoms you're into. Do y'all remember Angie Tribeca? Do you remember that show? It was
Rashida Jones.
Rashida Jones was written by Steve Carell.
Was she a detective or something?
She was like a detective, but it was like the TV version of like Airplane. It was super slapstick. And I love that. I love that type of comedy. Airplane's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
But it just...
They're making another Naked Gun. Did you see it?
I did not see that.
The guy from Lonely Island, who directs all the Lonely Island stuff, is it Akiva or whatever his name is?
Yeah.
He's directing a new Naked Gun movie. It's coming out, I think, next year.
What's the guy's name from the original Naked Gun? I always mess it up.
Leslie Nielsen.
Yes. I always thought Steve Carell would be like a perfect...
Yeah.
Not you don't want to play the same character, obviously, but he's so much in that.
I mean,
vein.
it has to be the same approach-ish.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's... You have to play it straight. Mm-hmm. You have to play slapstick straight in order for it to hit the same beats, I think.
Yeah.
He would be great at that. You're right. That's good. That's a good call.
He just reminds me of him, too. Like, I mean,
God, have you ever seen those old... It's like... When Leslie Nielsen was doing like the press junket for Naked Gun, and he brought a fart machine.
The fart
with him,
machine, yes.
and he's just it's cracking him up so much, and I love that. That's great.
The underrated role he had, it was a movie making fun of back when parody movies were still a thing. It was making fun of Spider-Man, and it was Drake Bell was playing like the main. I can't remember the name of it, but he has like. Is Nielsen? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was playing the granddad, and it was just all slapstick. Dude, nobody's seen that movie. I can't even remember the name of it, but he's so freaking good in it.
My favorite parody of Spider-Man right now is Spider-Man on Broadway. So,
didn't a bunch of people die doing that?
the guy, they would have to have multiple people play the Spider-Man role because there was no
Constantly tearing ACLs.
Jumping 20 feet off. This person, has never trained in a weight room a day in their life. They're from UCB somewhere. And they're just like dropping like rocks, limping off stage while doing their lines.
So at the Bama Theater, where we're doing the live show, he was like, so we have, they had just done Peter Pan or something. He was like, we have the rigging set up now if you guys want to fly during the show. And I was instantly like, absolutely. And Robert was like, hell no.
You were like, call me Tinkerbell, I'm going up.
Yeah, he's like, there's no way we're gonna put one of you like in the air, like you're gonna die, and I gotta finish the season without you. I think it was more like, I don't want to have to carry the gear and stuff.
What would be the headline? Ox Foundation commercial star dies in tragedy.
Internet nobody is dead. Like they wouldn't even have my real name. It would just be SEC Shorts guy.
Yeah,
so
SEC
people would
Shorts
know.
guy. Well, I remember, man, you came to my wedding, and like that was the biggest attraction of the wedding. Nobody gave a fuck about the ceremony or anything like that. They're like, freaking SEC Shorts guys here. It's just a bunch of drunk rednecks.
Yeah, I was at a funeral recently, and the guy giving the main thing got a selfie with me right before he walked out.
The guy,
eulogy?
The preacher, the preacher.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Someone came up to me when we were in the line, like the grieving line.
So you're happily married now? Is that
I
right?
am, yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. I bet like. Was that weird too, like the attention from females from that type of thing? Because I feel like people get into comedy and sketch comedy thinking like it's the rock star side, but then
Women are gonna dig
okay,
this.
so no. There was never any. It was because our audience are dudes, like 40-year-old dudes that like college football. So there's never any like. I saw that sketch. It was just like their husbands are like pushing their wives out of the way, like this is the guy. Like I can't tell you how many times a guy has been like, oh, you're the SEC Shorts guy, and his wife's like, what? And he's like, I make you watch the videos every week, and she's like, I've never seen this guy before in my life. He's like, every Monday I show you the videos. You're embarrassing me in front of the SEC Shorts guy. And she's like, no. Or a drunk woman will come up and be like, my husband over there is too scared to talk to you, but I've never heard of you, and he says you're famous. I don't think you are.
You can smell barefoot on her breath. You're like, back up, lady. Come on.
Yeah.
That's
so no,
awesome,
that
man.
has never been. That's never been a thing.
I think you're a good looking guy. So
Yeah.
you know.
I mean,
I
I
did
agree.
see you on that one sketch one time.
Cut the podcast.
Cut the podcast. Nah, man, it's cool to see local people grinding and then succeeding. So keep it up, man.
Yeah, no,
awesome.
it's been cool. It's been very unexpected, but
Well, let's all just write a horror movie together. Let's just go completely against type and just leave SEC Shorts behind. We'll leave this behind, and we'll just, I did pitch a business to you one time, though, actually. Do you remember that? I said we need to start a rage room.
oh
in Birmingham, and now somebody started one.
They did, yeah. That's right. When I heard about that, I was like, oh, I should call you or text you. Yeah.
But how much mileage does that have? Those types of arcade fads.
Well,
you're
working with you, I would have got a lot of mileage out of it.
Yeah. I mean, rage is passing, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone. I mean,
Yeah. You get rid of rage, That's
I
what's there.
mean, post Iron Bowl, one side's gonna have a lot of it, right? I always love the statistics when sports teams lose. Not Grinder. Pornhub's traffic is. I saw one about Grinder though. It was like
go back to your first thought.
It was like during the Republican National Convention. There were so many people on Grinder, their server crashed.
Yeah, in Milwaukee. Yeah. Milwaukee couldn't handle all the traffic.
Yeah, no, it's like, but there's like this thing. It's this weird anomaly. It's like when a major sports teams lose, that city's Pornhub traffic goes through the roof.
Oh.
I guess that's a way to cope.
I love being an American. I don't know about y'all.
Well, man, we won't keep you too much longer, but really appreciate you coming on. Excited to see the live show. Remind them when they can see that.
That is September 27th. It's the night before the Georgia game in Tuscaloosa at the Bama Theater. You can go to secshorts.com for tickets.
Cool. All right, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely.